God bless you, everybody. Good morning. God is still on his throne. Our devotional text comes from Psalm 11, verses 3 and 4. And the word of the Lord says, reading from the Message Bible, the bottoms dropped out of the country. Good people don't have a chance. But God hasn't moved to the mountains. His holy address hasn't changed. He's in charge, as always, his eyes taking everything in, his eyelids unblinking, examining Adam's flesh and blood. Inside and out, not missing a thing. The Amplified Bible says it like this, and the word of the Lord tells us, if the foundations are destroyed, what can the unyielding righteous do? Or what has he, the righteous one, wrought or accomplished? The Lord is in his holy temple. The Lord's throne is in heaven. His eyes behold, his eyelids test and prove the children of men. The Common English Bible says, when the very bottom of things falls out, what can a righteous person possibly accomplish? But the Lord is in his holy temple. The Lord, his throne is in heaven. His eyes see, his vision examines all of humanity. The New Living Translation says, the foundations of the law and order have collapsed. What can the righteous do? But the Lord is in his holy temple. The Lord still rules from heaven. He watches everyone closely, examining every person on earth. Wow. The New Revised Standard Version says, if the foundations are destroyed, what can the righteous do? The Lord is in his holy temple. The Lord's throne is in heaven. His eyes behold, his gaze examines humankind. Let's look at the contemporary English version. And the word of the Lord says, what can an honest person do when everything crumbles? The Lord is sitting in his sacred temple, on his throne in heaven. He knows everything we do because he sees us all. The Christian Standard Bible says, when the foundations are destroyed, what can the righteous do? The Lord in his holy temple, the Lord, his throne is in heaven. His eyes watch, his gaze examines everyone. And I want to encourage somebody that even though when things seem like they're falling apart, when things seem to go a different route, or when bad things happen, and what we got to understand is that things happen, God is still good. God is still sitting on his throne, sitting high and looking low and watching over his people. And the thing is that, people of God, David, he answers this question with a declaration. And David shared that the Lord is in his holy temple. The Lord sits on his throne in heaven. And the song says, if you're looking for the Lord, he's in the holy place. He's in the holy place. And you don't want to be somewhere where God is not. Because if God is not there, the Spirit of God is not there. We cannot leave the Spirit of God outside. We got to have the Spirit of God with us at all times. We got to have God with us all the time. And even when being in a storm, we don't go through what we go through alone. We're not alone when we serve a God who sits on the throne. Come on, somebody. You're not alone. But before you go to the phone, you better go to the throne of grace. There is nothing wrong with going to God and letting God know what's going on. Because if you can be honest with your family members and leaders, you can be honest with God. Things may fall, things may crash and crumble, but God still stands. Nothing can crush God. In our toughest times, we may see what the followers of Christ saw on the cross. Innocent slaughtered, goodness murdered, heaven's tower of strength pierced. And the thing is that, and God answered their question with the declaration by saying, when the rumble of the earth and the rolling of the rock, God reminded the people during this time that he is still in his holy temple. And he sits on his throne. God still is wonderful. And the thing is that God is still the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. God is still in his temple. God is still in control. God is still on the throne. The thing is that what God did then, God is going to do it now. Come on, somebody. Just how God brought you out then, God is going to bring you out even now. Because if God did it before, what makes you think that God can't do it again? Come on, even though God sits on his throne, God still works. Come on, somebody. We got work to do. We just can't sit down and let God do all the work. We got to put work in. Come on, somebody. We got to put in the effort. Come on, saints of God. Because faith without works is dead. You just can't be waiting for God to do. Oh, come on, somebody. Because when you do your part, God will do his part. Stop trying to get God to do all the work. God is not a genie that you can rub and you get 3 wishes. And you get 3 wishes. No. I'm sorry. It doesn't work like that. When you know that God is still on his throne and how God never slumbers nor sleep, it shouldn't be hard for you to go to God first when you wake up in the morning. The first thing you should go to is not your phone or your computer. It should be to the throne of grace and spend time with God. Because if you know that God is still on the throne, that God is in control, stop worrying. Stop depending on people and depend and rely on God. God's going to see you through. God's going to come through. But you got to do your part. You got to work in faith. You got to have faith when you work. Come on, somebody. Because even when things fall and crumble, God is still God. God is still good. God still works a miracle. God still heals, delivers, and sets free. God is still on his throne. God is still the same. Don't downplay God. Acknowledge God.